Welcome to Whispers Within, a podcast by Raf Masiga, where each week we dive into the stories, reflections, and thoughts that shape our everyday lives. Whether it's personal experiences, a thought-provoking idea, or a simple moment of inspiration or yapping, join me as you explore the moments that make us who we are, one week at a time. Let's get into it. Hi, I hope you've been doing fantastic since the last episode, which is episode 6. Actually, since you tuned into the very last episode of Whispers Within, that is episode 6. And I am super grateful for life. And that's it for now. I mean, I have been away for the longest time ever since this podcast began. I feel like this is the longest, let me call it break, for lack of a better word, that I've had. And it wasn't out of goodwill. I wasn't like, let me now take a break. I mean, the podcast is still young to just take a break and breathe and, do all those stuff that people do after taking breaks, re-strategizing, re-energizing and all that. But anyway, I am here with a magical episode, which is episode 7. Calling it magical because podcasters know that it is said if your podcast gets to episode 7, then those two small challenges, they're not there. They can't even bother you. They can't even make your podcast die. Like you've tackled every single problem that beginners do face. So your podcast is here, super strong, with a very strong foundation. And unless you as the owner, thinks otherwise, maybe like, I mean, it's enough. It's enough of this podcast thing. So yeah. Anyway, this is episode 7. That means Whispers Within is now strong. And if you get to listen to this, just know there's nothing like a break again. Hopefully, God willing, tunaendelea, tunasonga, kusonga. Anyway, I know you have read the title. It's about setbacks and bouncing back. But before we get to that, let me start with some great news. While I was away, I received an email. And when I read the email, it was actually from YouTube. And YouTube were telling me that my podcast can now be streamed from YouTube. Why? Because my podcast was accepted for, to be aired on YouTube podcasts. Yeah, on YouTube, there's a section for podcasts where you can actually click podcast and then it just gives you all registered podcasts. Not any other content, but any content that has been registered as podcast. Yeah, mine is audio. I'm not planning to have any video kind of thing for Whispers Within, but I was just doing that for easy access, from people who be like, what, I don't have a Spotify account, where else can I stream? And it just be like, you can also stream from CG what podcast, and they're not familiar with that particular, platform. So it becomes a bit hectic for them. So at least it is never hectic getting to YouTube. So you can actually, how to stream it is go to your YouTube main app, search Whispers Within by Raf Masiga. Also, you can go to YouTube Music. Now that's actually a good thing. You can go to YouTube Music, cause mine is audio, and you will still find it there. Just search Whispers Within by Raf Masiga. Hakuna struggles, sina Spotify. Where else can I stream? Ingieni YouTube. Actually, good thing with it is ever since I received that email, I actually received that email during this 1 month break when I've been away, and I wasn't expecting actually to see any views because I didn't come to announce. I didn't actually start sharing the links to where you can find it. But shock on me. I mean I was shocked because I could see 2-3 people streaming in using YouTube, and I was like, oh, 2 views, 3 views ain't bad. Because I have not yet marketed this particular podcast in this platform. But anyway, thank you so much for everyone who has been there to support me. Episode 6 has been doing amazing. It has become actually my favorite episode ever since the podcast began. I don't know why, because I feel like that particular episode was also performing for itself, It has become it has actually been featured now among the top 3 best performing episodes in my podcast. Thank you so much. Kama hujanifollow, tafadhali kimbeni unifollow and then rate this a 5-star. Now let's get to the setback and the bounce back. So it was a story is I lost my goodness. I lost my equipment, which were a bit expensive. I was using these particular equipments for one, the job I'm in right now, two, school. Three, I was using that particular equipment for my editing and, saving all my episodes. First, let me start by saying that I have lost episodes that were supposed to push this podcast from January to February, March. And unfortunately, I lost all those recorded episodes. Yeah, including a whisper from, let me not say who I had actually featured on this particular podcast. And actually, this being episode 7, his part 1 of the story was to be featured as episode 7. Yeah, that's how that's how bad the situation was, And before I could actually realize what was happening around my life, I was in a police station, usiku, going to report a case of I don't know what, And as I was actually reporting this particular thing, I never thought it was to be a case that was to be big or was to become a big case to a point where I will get advices from people who are in the intelligence and, being like, now you don't have to be anywhere around this square meter. It was that serious, by the way. So as I was reporting the incident of me losing my equipment, I was actually doing that because I expected to get some justice, quote unquote, and like quick response and quick help. But unfortunately, with our policemen in this country, I don't think that is possible. Actually, with this particular case of mine, I have confirmed that it is not possible because this case it prolonged actually. It has costed me every single penny in my pocket because it was requiring me to travel to and from the police station. And it was actually any day of any week of any month. I could just get a phone call and just be like, go to the police station, go ask for flani, mwambie ni mimi nimekutuma, because, I had to look for connections and thank God I was getting the best of the best connections. I mean, I was dealing with the who's and who's in this country. I was actually shocked because the kind of, my phone was just left with contacts that I couldn't actually sit down and be like, I would have such a person, in my contact list. But now look at me, it made me interact with who's and who's, people being feared in this country because the intelligence and all the DCI manenos and whatever, And yeah, so I was actually working at the police stations and the police station, singular, please. Yeah. And I could actually not even queue. I could actually even just go straight to a certain office and nimedirectiwa. Mnanisho nini na nimedirectiwa huku na mtu flani flani. I'm going actually to see a big person with a big rank in this career of yours. So, unanisimamisha kama nani? Okay, that's not the exact kiburi I was just going with, but trust you me, I was just, nilikuwa tu feel kidogo, the fact that, I have 1 to 3 connections, and to me, not small connections, you know what I mean? So, my case prolongs, and after prolonging, then it also became a bigger case, because now it became a case that was involving multiple parties. And now from, the people whom nilipewa connections kwao, like the people who are actually communicating now with my parents, because peli ilibidi waingilie kati. Now this guy calls them from the intelligence, calls them and be like, now you have to tell your son. Now it was actually this one day I was actually at the police station, and there was 1 to 3 summons, by the one who was handling my case. So when because I had to alert these people every single step that is being taken in this particular case. And actually the one who was following up with my case was now a bit keen, because alikuwa na, also getting phone calls at the end of the day, be like, okay, yoni nimemaliziaje and such kind of things. So I remember when that happened, Now my parents get a phone call and they're like, no, you have to tell your son to, not be anywhere around that, area. Like, not actually even like around where I used to live, but anywhere around that whole area. You know what I mean? So I had to vacate, and that is where I actually that particular evening, I remember when my parents called me, my mom called me, and she was like, now I want you this minute as you're talking, go to your house, pack your stuff, and move. Go kilometers away from where you are right now. And I was like, like she was telling me kilometers away because I was like, I can actually just move into my friend hapa karibu. But they're like, no, you have to go far, far away because actually hii kitu pia polisi, you don't know. You just don't know, the people handling your case now, they're getting calls from I don't know where. They can panga something. And I'm like, yeah, by the way, it makes lots of sense. So I had to move. I moved. I went to my cousin's place for like almost 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. And in the 2 weeks, I was still now thinking, what am I going to do? Because now I had already scheduled an episode, which was part one of the story from this guest of mine. But unfortunately, I had to delete it because part two ilipotea pia, and now I have lost, I lost over 7 episodes. Lord. I lost over 7 episodes of Whispers Within, which were recorded. Some of them were edited, some of them were not edited. I don't know why I had not thought of scheduling the edited episodes. I just don't know why. And I just wish, But anyway, that happened. And when it happened, no, I've actually forgotten to tell you something. My recording equipment also got lost. And my recording equipment was so new. Actually, I had barely used those recording equipment. I had just purchased some nice microphones. They were barely a week old. And I felt like they were the heart of Whispers Within. So the moment all of them were just like, all gone, then the heartbeat is over. The podcast is like dead. And I had to sit down, rethink, come up again with a plan, which I have not been able to complete because now also it's just a long story, messed up story, And yeah, that's the most painful bit, that I had to lose new equipment, which I had just purchased and not even recorded a single episode with them. Anyway. So I went back to now thinking again of what I'm going to do with Whispers Within, to a point where I was like, I now need to collect myself ASAP because I felt like a part of me was missing. And when I tried to figure out what was missing, that part of me that was missing, I came to realize it was Whispers Within. Because this was a podcast where I will just come across something, just sit down and, record about it, and that's it, So like I felt like a part of me has been taken away. And I started planning again. Unsuccessfully, I had to call 1 to 3 people whom I know are in the industry and just be like, now this and this has happened. I don't have this, I don't have that. What can I use? What is the alternative of this and this and that? And I will get so many, recommendations and alternatives, but to me, they weren't working. One man's meat is another man's poison. I hope I'm getting that right. So yeah, so I had to now sit down myself and try to, do more research as to how I am going to bounce back. And in the process, I found something that I would, actually work with for at least for a short period of time before I now come and come and figure out how I am going now to, continue with this journey. I fall sick and I was all weak. I was actually even like, I couldn't sleep. It was so difficult for me to wake up. Going to work was a bit hectic for me because I was like, now how am I going to handle all this? I feel tired already. It's early in the morning and the whole day I'm going to be seated, and sitting was also something for me that, sisikai. I would sit down and I would just feel tired. I would stand, I would feel tired. I would walk, I would feel tired. You'll even thought I'm pregnant. Nilikuwa nakaa nikihema every now and then, but now there was nothing to do with shortness of breath. Because I remember I told somebody of my symptoms and she was like, what about shortness of breath. I'm like, no, why would you think of that? So yeah. And when I thought I was getting better, actually, now that is when I thought of now bouncing back, right? So I was like, okay, so again, the podcast has failed. And I decided, you know what, let me take a break. Because I remember last year, when last year was coming to an end, I was diagnosed with fatigue. And it wasn't something funny, by the way. I remember it wasn't funny. It was a bit serious. And I remember the doctor telling me, if you have the time right now, I'll just tell you to sleep at least for 30 minutes to 1 hour before you do anything else. And I'm like, yeah, I can just sleep. If you have a place where I can sleep. So yeah. I was like, let me just take a break from all this, because I just don't want to find myself again going to the hospital and being diagnosed of fatigue. So I took a break. Now in this 1 month break, hapa katikati I take a break, and I'm like, you know what? I think Whispers Within can wait. My health comes first. So as I was almost recovering, and I'm like, yeah, at least next week on Monday, we're going to have an episode. And then my voice on a Sunday morning decides, you know what? Bye-bye. And when this voice of mine was deciding to, say goodbye, the previous day I had just now moved out from like the location. Now, actually, the first time I moved out, it was just me and my clothes. So now I had to come back now, vacate from where I was living, because si unajua sifai kutafuta nyumba anywhere hapo, because now of my case, which is going on. So I was house hunting. I met a nice place, a nice house, nice neighborhood. This particular day, I was now moving in with my things to this new place. And then on the following day, which was on Sunday, that is when now my boys decided, you know what, goodbye. And it was gone. I just woke up on a Sunday and I had this deep voice, like I would just say good morning. Actually, that is actually not even half of how deep my voice was. Unfortunately, I didn't go to church to kutesa with that sauti, because we mngenitambua ningekuwa cheki unaitwa rough, because at least God made me feel the much depth that my voice can go to. And during the day, that same Sunday, I would feel some discomfort, and I was just like, let me not actually talk much today, But then as the day proceeded, here the phone calls, here people talking to me, so I have to talk. And in the process of me talking, it was, I think, around 12:01, that is when now my voice decided bye for good. Now, I lost my voice for almost a week and a half, if I'm not wrong. So it was a week, but then the half, that is when my voice started coming in bits. So like I would actually be on a phone call with you, but then you're not going to hear all the words that I'm going to say, because it will have scratches. Like I say hello, but then it will be just like hell, and O just disappears. Wow. So now that is how my break totaled to 1 month, because now that was me. There is no way I will just come and record an episode when my voice is not 100% back. And during this time, I felt like I was learning a lot, from all the incidents that I was going through. But before we get to what I was learning, I want that to be the takeaway. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who was like, Mbona Whispers Within ilipotea? Where have you been? Where are you? And I just didn't have an explanation to tell, because at that time, actually, when most people came to now be like concerned, was when I was dealing with this particular case of mine, not actually even the losing of the voice and what's not. So I was just like, for now, I can't actually tell what is going on, but soon and very soon, I'll be back. So I know most of you are wondering, soon and very soon again in a haifiki. Sasa mshajua, I actually even got to a point of losing my voice. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who checked up on me. Few people by the way check up on me, wale wananijua. The rest walikwanga my online family. Coming the likes of, can I actually mention them? Actually, let me say this. This one guy who came to my DM, and actually, wow, you people are just sweet out here, because he was like, now that you can't tell what is happening, can you now tell us? Okay. And I was like, I'm going to bounce back. Let me just figure out how. And that is when he was like, nini ni huna, and I was like, equipment, nini, what's not. And he was like, how much does it take to produce an episode from the studio? You know, and I went back to a studio that had approached us when we were doing Whispers Within. No, not Whispers Within, Campus Unwind as audio podcast. And when I went to visit their rate card again, I was just like, okay, it can't just be any much than this. I mean, it's just this amount of money. So I went back to our conversations and I'm like, hi, so the studio charges this amount of money for a single production of an episode. And this guy be like, send your details. Send your details, which I didn't because I was like, I mean, it's too early now to get the monetary aids because I was like, Nisawa, you're going to support me in this particular episode or even in the next 5 episodes to come. But what about Raf? If this support fails, even that 1 week, what does it mean? It means that you people are not going to have an episode of Whispers Within. So I had to sit down, figure out myself how I am going to do this. And if you get to listen to this episode, just know I actually found a way of how. Maybe I actually got somebody who can help me. Just know it's a long-lasting solution. But nilikata yo msaada. And I know most of you are just going to be like, sasa mbona ukatae and such kind of things. I was looking at the fact that if I get this particular aid from Ricky, yeah, Ricky, shout out to you. Na Josina ruhusa kukumention, but just shout out to you. What about, okay, I am going to get comfortable, like I'm going to be like, I'm not going to think about Whispers Within again because my work is just to show up. Somebody has catered for the bills, for the studio bills. So it's just me and going and showing up in the studios. No, I just don't want that. I want before I produce this episode, I want before you guys listen to an episode of Whispers Within, I have gone through struggles, every struggle that a podcaster can go through just to make sure that an episode has been aired. I just don't want things to be running venye yani ati smooth kila kitu shatengenezwa for me. I'm not saying I want a tough life. I just want to face those challenges by myself, try and fight them by myself. I don't know whether I'm making sense, but I hope I am. Anyway, that is what has been happening, and that is why I have been away, but I am here. I am back. And back for good this time, hopefully again, and God willing. And let me just give you a spoiler alert for episode 8. And a spoiler is just me mentioning what I'll be talking about. It will be me, because I feel like these struggles have actually made me remember those wall incidents. So I was like, it will be about me talking to you about what is it called? PTSD. So it will be about me, 2024, and PTSD. And I'll be giving you an amazing story. Not amazing, but stupid and silly stories of what actually the kind of things that were making me feel drained mentally, but I hope that episode is going to come and I will gather all the strength to actually do that episode and post it for you. And now it's time for us to wrap up our things to bebe virago vetu tuende. So as we go, I was to say what this whole incident has taught me. I mean, I appreciate whatever happened, as I said in episode 6, which my mom quoted when all these things were happening. And let me tell you, I felt it, because I was like, my mom coming to quote my podcast to me. I was like, it was such a nice feeling, coming to tell me, I heard you say kwa podcast that we should thank God for everything. So even in this one, thank God, because you don't know what would have happened. You might have actually maybe be injured in that particular incident or even lose your life or such kind of things. And that is why I'm grateful for whatever happened, Also for me losing my voice, I'm grateful because, can I ask you a question? How many times have you appreciated your voice? Like appreciated the fact that you can speak? How many times? So yeah, I do now appreciate the fact that I can speak, that somebody can actually hear my voice. I do take that as, what can I say? I do take that as a privilege, as a blessing from God. It's just not like a normal happening that should be happening because I'm waking up and sleeping. It should be happening because I'm human. It should be happening. No, it's a gift that God has given you. It's a blessing that actually your voice is there for you. You can actually talk and somebody can actually hear you, Anyway, that's it for now. That has been episode 7 of Whispers Within. Just a reminder, you can stream this episode and many other episodes of Whispers Within on YouTube. All you have to do is go to YouTube or YouTube Music app, search engine, and then search Whispers Within by Raf Masiga. You will definitely get me there. Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of Whispers Within. I hope you enjoyed our time together and found something to reflect on or be inspired by. If you liked what you heard, be sure to follow this podcast and rate it a 5-star podcast. Also share this with your friends and family. I would also love to hear your thoughts and feedback, so feel free to reach out. Links to my social media platforms are in the description box and also the link to our email. Until next time, keep reflecting and keep the whispers alive. My name is Raf Masiga. See you next week.